Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Shatro here. So now what we are going to be looking at today is we are going to be looking at one of the most interesting topic, and we are looking at algebraic fractions, right? I know most of you guys, tend to struggle when it comes to this topic, but don't worry, after today, your life will never be the same. Look, so now what we are going to be looking at today is firstly, we are going to be checking simplification. We are going to be checking simplification of fractions, right? And what is importantly that we are going to be checking is we are going to be checking simplification that involves multiplication, and division, right? And division. So that's one thing that we are going to be mostly focusing on today, right? So I think before we even move to the examples that we have here, I think it is important that we get to understand some of the key steps that we need to follow when it comes to, your simplification of fractions. So the first thing is that now the first step is you must be in a position to factorize. You must be in a position to factorize your numerator and your denominator, right? So this is one of the most important parameter of algebraic fractions. And what is importantly is also that now you need to be in a position to cancel like terms, right? And one of the key rules when it comes to that is that you need to remember that, for example, if you're having A over B, divide by B over A. This is going to be same as what? This is same as what? A over B. And then you change that division to multiplication. And whenever you change, you do what? You intertwine, right? So you take what is in your numerator to your denominator, right? So which means you take this one this side and you take this one this side, right? So which means what you are having, you then have A over your B. Yes. So that's what basically happens when you are given a fraction of that. So these are important rules that you need to, take in cognizance before you start this, right? So now let's start by merely looking at the first example that we have. Let's make up some space here so that we do the first one, right? Just the space. Lovely, right? So now what is important is now let's look at our number one, right? So for our number one, we are given that this number one, you are given that you have x squared. This is, let's write it here. It's you have x squared subtract x subtract 6 over x squared subtract 9. So now remember, one of the rules, the key rules that I shared is that you need to firstly start by, factorizing your numerators first, right? So now let's see in terms of how, what is it that we can do to factorize this? Now remember that your x squared, the factors of x squared, it's same as x and x, right? So this is going to be x and x. And which factors of 6 can help us to get your middle term, which is negative x? It's going to be, remember, it's 1 and 6, the factors of 6, and 2 and 3. And you can see that 2 and 3 can can help us to get negative x. So therefore this is going to be 2 and 3. And therefore, since you're having a negative here, this is going to be your negative, and this is going to be your positive over. Now, if you can look at your denominator, this is your difference of two squares, because x squared, and then 9 is also a square number. So this is same as x subtracts 3 and what? X plus your 3, right? Since this is a difference of two square. And now, when you are having that, can you see that what is going to happen is this one, x subtract 3 and also x subtract 3 are going to cancel each other, right? So if they are canceling each other, what you are going to have then as your solution is that you are going to have what? X plus 2 divided by what? X plus your what? Plus your 3. and this is going to be your solution for this problem, right? So what we did, we simplified the numerator, then we solved for the difference of two squares, isn't it so, right? So now let's look at then our example 2, right? So now let's check our example 2. Let's make up some space for example 2. Now, if you can check your example 2, what is it that we are given then? So now in your example 2, what we are given is that now we are given that you have 12. This is your example 2. Already we have covered number 1, right? So what you are given here is, let's try and write it nicely here. So this is 12. It's 12y subtract 4x over what? Over 12x subtract 30y multiply by what? This is multiplied by negative 4x squared plus 14xy subtract 10y squared. I know most of you, by just the complexity of this, you will think that this is difficult, but don't worry, I'm here to make your life very simple, right? So we are going to see in terms of what is it that we can do here. Now, remember the key thing we said, we start by doing what? Simplifying. And remember, you can start with your numerator, denominator, then you come back to the other thing, numerator, denominator, and then you proceed in that level, right? Now, let's start here. Is there anything that is common between 12 and 4? Yes, both of them, they have what? They have your common factor of 4, right? So which means what you can do here is you can take out the common factor, right, of 4. Now, let's say we take out your negative 4 as your common factor. What is it that you're going to be left with? What you are going to be left with is, now you are then going to do the what? The sign change. So which means you can bring your x in here, because when you say negative 4x negative 4 multiplied by x, you still get negative 4, right? And this other one, now for you to attain a positive 12, you must have what? Here you must have your negative 3y, isn't it so? Then let's look at our denominator. What is it that we can take out here as a common factor? 6. I think your 6 is going to be common in both of these, right? So now if 6 is common in both of this, so you can take out, your 6. And then what is it that you're going to be left with? You're going to be left with 2x subtract 5y, right? So that's what we have done there. Then you come back this side, and then you multiply. Now look, if you can check here, 2 is common in all this. Before even, factorizing this, can you see that 2 is common, right? And since your first term is negative, right, you don't want to complicate things for you. So you must make sure that you take out that negative so you can ease things for yourself, right? So this is going to be negative 2. And when you take out negative 2 as a common factor, what is it that you're going to be left with? You're going to be left with 2x squared subtract what? Subtract 7x. Why? Remember, because negative 2 multiplied by negative 7 gives you positive 14, right? So you're still in the right track. Then the last one is going to be plus your what? Your 5y squared, isn't it so? Then let's look at our denominator. What do we have in our denominator? We are having, right? Look, 8 is common here and 8 is common here. So you can take out 8 as a common factor. So when you take out 8 as a common factor, what is it that you're going to be left with? You're left with x, subtract your what? Subtract your 3y. And if you are having those now, and remember, because you are having a multiplication here, you can be able to cancel anything from either side of your fractions, right? So now what is important here is that now, these are going to cancel, right? Can you see that this one, let me use a different color, this one and this one are going to cancel, isn't it so, right? And if they are canceling, then what is it that you are left with in your numerator, right? And if these two are canceling, what else now can cancel? Now let's see, let's continue and see in terms of what is it that we are going to have, right? Now let's continue then. Now from here, can you see that you are left, let's use another nice color there. Can you see that you are left with negative 4 and you're left with your what? Your negative 2, isn't it so? In your numerator and of course this bracket, right? So what is it that you can do now here? You can multiply this 2. So this is going to be now 8 into what? 8 into your your 2x squared subtract 7xy plus 5y squared. But I mean, we can just, factorize this, isn't it so? Now let's open two brackets and try to factorize this. So when you factorize this, you're going to look for factors of 2. Luckily, it's 2 and 1. So this is going to be 2x. And this side is going to be your x. And then now, what is it? What is going to be this side? For the factors of 5, it's what? It's 5 and y. So what is it that we are going to have here? So now what we are going to have here, now for us to get negative, this one, for us to get negative 7x, what is it that we need to do? So we are then going to have here as 2x, what? Subtract, you're going to have 2x subtract 5y. And this side, what is it that you're going to have? You are going to have your y, because when you multiply this back again, and now let's check. Can you see that when you multiply this one and this one, you are getting what? You are getting negative 5xy, right? And when you're multiplying this, you are getting what? Negative 2xy, right? And these, can you see that negative 5 and negative 2 still gives you negative 7, right? So therefore, this is correct. So now let's move them. So if this is correct, so therefore our factors are distributed properly. Now then let's move. And in your denominator, what is it that you are going to have? Just like what we did in our numerator by multiplying this negative 2 and this 4, you can multiply 6 and 8. And what is 6 multiplied by 8? That is simple. You are going to get 48, right? And then when you're having 48, which means you're having 48 to x subtract 5y. Surely you are seeing some things that are almost the same, isn't it so? And if you are seeing some things that are almost the same, then what can happen to those? These ones, indeed, this one and this one, they are going to cancel each other. And therefore, since those, they are going to cancel each other, what is it that you can also have? Now, look, if you can divide your 8 and also your 48, you understand that this is going to be 8 ones here. And also, what is it that you're going to have here for 48? You're going to have this as 6. So which means your answer, you are having what? Your answer, you're having x subtract y over your what? Over your 6. Then you have successfully solved this. Okay. And hopefully this makes sense. I tried to, to give it to you slowly so that you can you make sense of this, right? So this is as far as our number 2 is concerned. Now let's make up some space for our number 3 so that we're going to see what is required of us here. Now, hopefully by now you are looking at number 3, you are trying to, solve it on your own, because you have, you now have the medication of how to solve this. But let's try it again. Now let's look at number 3. Now, what is important that you are observing in number 3 is that now you have a division sign. And what is very important is that you really, really need to change your division sign into a multiplication sign first, right? Because that's what we've agreed on. Upon that, whenever you have the division sign, this comes here, and this in your denominator comes in your numerator, right? Perfect. So now let's then go straight to it. Now let's start here. Now you are having this, you are having a squared subtract ab subtract 2b squared, right? Surely there is something that you can observe here. You can simplify this, isn't it so? So how can you simplify this? So for you to simplify this, now you are going to obviously open your two brackets. Now this is going to be your a squared, it's going to be your a, and then you're going to have a this side. And what are factors? What are going to be the factors of 2? It's 2 and 1, but your middle term is 1. So now what is it that you need to do in order for you to factorize this? So this is going to be minus 2b, and this other one is going to be what? Plus your b. And remember, because when you multiply your first, your inner terms and your outer terms, you're going to get your middle term, right? When I mean your inner term, I mean when you multiply these two and these two, they're still going to give you your negative AB. So therefore, this is correct, isn't it so? So let's then remove this and then let's continue. So now let's look at our denominator then. What is it that we have in our denominator? We have 12xy subtract 30y. So since you have that, what is it that you can do then? Is that you can start by looking at, those two and see what is important that you can do. Let's see. Oh, this is number 3. We're in number 3. So look, what is important for your number 3 is that you have a squared and b squared, right? Don't you remember anything about those things like that? That's a perfect square, right? That's your perfect square trinomial, right? Make sure if you haven't watched videos that involve perfect square trinomial, you check on them, right? It's just below these videos here in this playlist. Now, what is then important? This is going to be what? Remember, I said when you have perfect square, you just what? You just root this one and you find the root of this one. So, and then this is going to be what? This is same as a what? Plus b all squared. Yes, because that's how we solve our perfect square, right? And remember, we said, how do you identify a perfect square? You just look at the first and the last terms if they are squares, right? Now, this division sign, remember you had a division sign, so you're going to change this to your multiplication sign. And when you change to your multiplication sign, as I've indicated there, which means your a plus your b is going to come into your numerator, and then what is going to come in your denominator is your a squared subtract 4ab plus 4b squared, right? And surely there is something that you can recognize there, isn't it so? Is there anything that you can recognize? Look, this is your square number. A squared is a square number. 4 is a square. And b is a square. So isn't this is also your perfect square? And since this is your perfect square, what is it that you can do? You're going to solve it almost similar to this one. This is going to be what? This is going to be your a, right? But now you remember you have your 2. You have your 2 there. So this is going to be what? This is going to be your a subtract 2 b into what? Squared, right? Isn't it so? Then this is going to be a perfect way. Then now from here, let's see what we have here. Let me try and break this down so that you can see what is going to happen here, right? Right, let's try and get another column. So look, which means what you're having a subtracts your 2b in brackets, and you're also having what? Your a plus your b. And remember, this is same as a plus b and a plus b, right? Multiplied by your what? A plus your b over what? Over your a subtract your 2b, and also a subtract your 2b, because that's what the square means, right? So therefore, is there anything that we can do here? Definitely there is something that we can do. We can do the cancellation, right? Now we can take a breather, then cancel, right? Can you see that if you can start here? Look, you are having here your a subtract your 2b, right? Your a subtract your 2b, and you have your a subtract your 2b. You have your a plus your b, and you have your a plus your b. And when you look around the corner, you also have your a, and you also have your a plus b. Both of those are a plus b, right? So what is remaining in your numerator now? There is nothing, remember? But now, since you've cancelled everything, you are remaining with 1. And what is remaining in your denominator is what? It's 8. It's a, subtract your b. So therefore, your a subtract your b, 1 over a subtract your b is going to be the solution for this problem. Oh, it's okay. And hopefully, you get this, right? So now let's try and then now attempt our number 3. Or rather our number 4, and see what our number 4 have for us, right? Let's go to number 4 just swiftly. Now, so in your number 4, let's take something nicely to write. Let's get another nice color. Let's take the blue one, right? Now, in your number 4, let me just copy this also here nicely so that you can see what we are going to do. So you're having 5b plus your 5 over your what? Over your 2b squared, subtract your b, subtract your 3, multiply by your what? Your 6, subtract your 4b, over what? over your 5b squared plus your 10b plus your 5 divide, right? Let's just change this division now, right? Remember we said when you have your division, you can do what? You can then take your numerator to your denominator and your denominator to your numerator, right? So this is going to be multiplication. And then when you are having this as a multiplication, what is it that you are going to have here? This is going to be what? This is going to be your 2b squared plus your 3b plus 1 over what? Over your 2a plus your 4ab. Hopefully this makes sense now, right? And now let's try and continue and see what is it that we can do to try and solve this, right? So let's continue. Now, what is it that you can recognize in your numerator? Look, you are having, let me use another nice color. Look, you are having 5 here, you are having 5 here, right? So that is important. So you can take out 5 as your common factor. You're going to be left with b plus your 1, isn't it so? Now let's move to our denominator. What is it that we have in our denominator? This is your trinomial. So you can what? You can then simplify your trinomial. How can you simplify? This is going to be 2b and b. Remember what is then the factors of 3? It's 3 and 1. But we are looking for factors that can give us your negative b. So factors that can give us our negative b is when you have your negative 3 here and we have your 1 here, right? Remember, because when you multiply this and this, you're getting negative what? 3b. And when you're multiplying this and this, when we make this positive, you're going to have what? You're going to have positive 2b. And when you add this, you are indeed getting negative b, right? So that's the reason why we have associated that, right? So now let's then continue. Then now let's look at this side. Now what is it that is important here, or what is it that you can recognize? You can take out, your negative 2 as a common factor, right? And when you take out your negative 2 as a common factor, what is it that you're going to do? Then you take this one this side. So this is going to be your 2b, right? Because negative 2b multiplied 2b still gives you this 4. So right? We said we are taking that as your common factor. And then what is it that you're going to have? Now, what you're going to have now, you're going to have, remember, for you to get 6, you must have what? You must have positive 3, right? Because negative 2 multiplied by positive 3 gives you negative 6. Hopefully that makes sense to you now, right? Now, let's then continue swiftly along. Is there anything that we can do to this denominator of ours, right? Now, let's see. So now, look, if you can, isolate 5, right? Let's take out 5 as a common factor. What you're going to be left with? You're going to be left with b squared plus what? Plus your 2b and what? Plus your 1, isn't it so? Now let's continue. We'll come back and solve this again. And then now, what is it then that you are going to have here? So here, now remember, now that you have intertwined this, what is it that you're going to have here? So you can factorize this now, right? When you factorize this, you are going to have your 2b here and your b here. Factors of 1, it's 1 and 1. And now for you to have a positive here, this is going to be plus and plus, right? As your numerator. Now let's go to your denominator. What is it that you can take out here? Look, you are having your 2a, and here you're having 4a, right? And you can tell that from 4a there is a 2, right? So you can take out your 2a as your common factor, right? So, and when you take out your 2a as your common factor, what we are going to be left with? Now let's swap this. Let's bring this 4a this side, right? So this 4ab this side. So now when you brought that 4a this side, what is it that you are going to have? You are indeed going to have 2b plus what? Plus your 1, right? So now that's what we have. Now let's try and just continue to see in terms of what we have here. I think one of our biggest trouble that we have is this one. But now surely you can identify that this is a square number and this is a square number, right? So this is your perfect square, right? Isn't it that this is your perfect square? Yes, this is going to be a perfect square. Now then, let's try and solve and see what is it that we are going to have. So let's rewrite this, everything. You're having this 5 into b plus your 1 into your 2b, subtract your 3 into your b plus your 1 multiplied by -2 into 2b plus your 3 over, now this is your perfect square, isn't it? Now, and since this is your perfect square, now this is going to be what? And remember this, if you are going to solve this as your perfect square, this was going to be what? This was going to be b plus 1 all squared, right? And this b plus 1 all squared is same as what? It's same as b plus 1 and also b plus 1, right? So which means that's what is going to be, right? Multiply by what? Let's just write all this. This is 2b plus 1. Let's write this in brackets. The other one is b plus 1. All this in bracket over your 2a into your 2b plus 1, right? And then when you are from here, now you relax. You check, is there any things that are common, right? Now, if there are anything that are common, then you just continue straight to canceling. Look, this one and this one are common, right? And you have two. You have what? Now you have your here your 2b plus what? This is, what is it that we have also here in common? You have 2b subtract 3. Remember here you've taken out the negative, so this is actually supposed to be what? This is supposed to be negative. Let's fix this one, right? This is supposed to be negative because negative 2 multiplied by negative is going to give you your positive 6 that we heard in the beginning, right? So now let's just fix that before it troubles us. So this is going to be what? This is going to be your -3. And yes, now this allows us to now to cancel what? This one and also this one. Now let's move swiftly along. This was 2b. This was your what? 2b plus 1, as I've said. So you're having 2b plus 1. This one and this one are going to cancel. You're having b plus 1 and also what? B plus what? B plus 1, right? So these are going to cancel. And what is it that you are left with now? Look, is there anything that is remaining? Yes, 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 yes. You have a 5 here. You have a 5 here. These are going to cancel. You have a -2 here. And you have a 2 here. So those are also going to cancel, right? So what is it that you're going to be left with? Now look, in your numerator, what is it that you're only left with? You are only left with this negative, right? So now let's try and write this. So what is it that you're going to have as your answer? As your answer, you're going to have -1 over what? Over your a into bracket b plus 1, because that was what was remaining here together with this a out together. So I think now you might have now, successfully solved the algebraic expression or rather fractions that involves multiplication and also division. I think that's it for today. Thank you very much.